we're back. Hey, so I want to say before we start, right? I know we're getting a little sidetrack from the MCU with this, and I'm thinking releasing this on a Thursday or Wednesday because I thought about calling this because it's apart from our Saturday thing, like either Random Wednesdays or Theater Thursdays. So that way we could talk about another movie.
Yeah, so we can watch something else.
Yeah. So you weren't impressed with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
No, I'm not gonna say it wasn't. Well, I was. I liked it. I liked the story. I actually like Miles Morales, the Superman. I meant the Spider-Man
Yeah.
character. I mean, it was good, and the animation was a little hard for me to get used to.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Yeah, I didn't really like the way it looked. I mean, I understand why they did it. It was supposed to look like a comic book,
Right.
and it had all the little dots in it like a comic book, and I liked that. I thought that was cool. They had the blur in there though, which they're supposed to make it because like comic books are sometimes the it's off,
Mm-hmm.
which I collect a lot of comic books. They're not that off. They're not so off that it annoys me. Okay, this thing annoyed me. Let me put it this way. It wasn't no Big Hero 6, okay?
No, this is not like Big Hero 6. I do like how they introduce
Well, it is.
other
I was like, let me
Spider-Mans.
put it this much. I pretty much liked it until all the way up until we got to the part where they showed all the Spider-Mans, and then we saw Spider-Ham. As soon as they showed me Spider-Ham, I was like, oh,
They
God.
didn't make that for you. They made that for my kids.
No, that's probably why I didn't enjoy it that much.
I mean, like,
Because, here's what annoyed me. Because they showed it. They showed all the Spider-Man, and they showed Spider-Ham, which I don't really like. I never liked it even in the 80s when they introduced it.
oh,
But they
really? That's
introduced
from the
it,
80s. I didn't know that.
yeah, it's from the 80s. But when they introduced it, I was like, I see all these Spider-Man, but I don't see Spider-Man 2099, which I like.
Okay, well, let's
But
not
here's the big
let's not
thing.
jump on. Let's not get
Oh,
ahead of ourselves.
well,
Okay,
we
let's.
okay, because I don't want to ruin it for you because you're going to be. I was let
So,
down. Let's put it this
so
way. It was a big letdown.
okay, so let's just go back to the beginning. We
But I do have a
introduce.
question
Yeah.
about this. And here's what puzzled me about this. And then maybe you know this because I don't know if you read these comics. I never read this comic. I never read the Miles
Oh,
Morales,
I never went Miles
which
Morales.
I'm kind of interested in it though because I like the way the story goes. But the problem is, I was wondering his name's Miles Morales,
Yeah.
but his dad's last name is Davis.
I never thought
Why?
about that.
Why is he got his mom's last name and not his dad's last name?
So, are you saying that maybe they're not married?
Well, no, I don't know. That's what I'm just curious. I know that that's his dad because I mean the whole point of the character. He's the was he is he the first mixed racial?
Is he?
Can you say that? Is he mixed racial? What do they keep
Well,
saying?
he's Puerto Rican and black.
Yeah, I thought they said he was like the first biracial or
Oh, he's
character.
definitely biracial.
Well, yeah,
But
we know
I don't
that,
know if
but
he's the first
I
one though.
thought I thought
I
somebody
don't
said
know if
he's
he's the
first.
first
I
one.
can't think anybody else that is though. Any characters that are. But does it? But I mean, I guess they could say some other characters could be. Would you really know?
No, that's not something
See, a
like
lot of
on in nerds, right? That's not something I pay attention to.
that's
Like I
not something
never
I
pay
pay attention
attention to
to.
like what race this is.
But I mean, I know that's what a lot of people point out, and that's why a lot of people are fans of this.
Huh?
But I like the story just because I like how it goes. I mean, okay, they made it seem like Miles Morales is just another Spider-Man, but he's not another Spider-Man. He's the next Spider-Man.
He's the next Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the next Spider-Man. See, that's the thing that bothered me about it originally, because I always heard, oh, he's another Spider-Man, and I'm like, well, why would you need another Spider-Man? But now that I see the story, the way this story plays out, he's the next Spider-Man. I like that.
Yes, I do too. So before we get to even Miles Morales, right? So let's talk about Captain Kirk Spider-Man. Okay.
Yes, which today, until I read the deal, I didn't know that was Captain Kirk.
I didn't know either until I saw who did the voices. I'm like, what? It's Chris Pine that did the first one? But now I think about it, and like, oh, that is his voice. He didn't even disguise it. Like, it's definitely Chris Pine. He has that mannerism, like Tom Holland. Spider-Man is the nerdy guy. He say these
Yeah.
nerdy stuff, okay? And so in the beginning, when he's talking about he's 26, he did all this. Do you think Chris Pine's Spider-Man is with referencing Tobey Maguire?
Actually, I don't.
You see what I'm going? I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, what's this the thing? Did you think that was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man?
I didn't think that at first until I watched it like the second or third time because he said like, "Hey, I did this." He did the thing from Spider-Man 3,
Yeah, I
the
guess you're
dance
right. It
move.
did show it. It did show it. In a way, I guess he could be
And
Tobey
also,
Maguire's
they point
Spider-Man.
out his age is 26. At the end of Spider-Man 3, right? He was still like going to college. Oh no,
Yeah, but
Spider-Man 2.
to me, his Spider-Man, because I quit reading. I mean, I wasn't really a fan of Spider-Man, but I read the comic books on and off, constantly. I mean, I pretty much kept up with Peter Parker's character up until they started rebooting all of Marvel Universe
Yeah,
and
the
comic
ultimate
books.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, until they started rebooting, and then I kind of lost track. But Peter Parker eventually gets married to Mary Jane.
Yes.
I don't know if they got divorced or not. We see that one of them is
One of the
divorced.
universes, yeah. But on Chris
So
Pine, I thought it was tied to Toby's.
it could be, but the other Parker, the Peter B.
B
Parker,
Parker, yeah. The
he seemed like
older one.
he seemed to me like he was Tobey Maguire's.
See, that's to me too. But then you know
Because
what? Since
he
they're
could
coming
easily.
from different
But I
universes,
will
they
say
could
this
be.
though, to me, the one I always read in the comic books I grew up with was the B Parker.
B Parker.
Is
So
the way I
okay.
feel.
So right now, just talking to this, I don't think he was because he was blonde, and Toby wasn't blonde. He was like a brunette, right?
Yeah. And
So
well,
his brown hair.
in the comic books he was never blonde
Yeah, he
either.
was never blonde. So this is a
So
different
yeah,
universe.
to me this Spider-Man they're showing at the beginning was never the Spider-Man I ever knew.
And I'm thinking the 30-something-year-old Spider-Man is Toby's.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's either Toby's or he is the comic. He is the Marvel comic book universe Spider-Man,
Yes, I
which
do like that.
I would rather Miles be part of that universe.
Yes,
Which we know Miles is part of the MCU.
yes. So
We only know
yes,
that because which we get to introduce to his uncle, and his
yes,
uncle is actually in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
yeah.
So
So
that's
that's
interesting.
that's one reason why I asked you to watch this, right? Because it opens that multiverse up.
Yeah, opens a multiverse in a way, but I did have a problem with it. I also don't like the way they brought everybody. I mean, this is just cartoons for kids. It's not for
Yeah.
the MCU, and I'm trying to get that. I'm trying to understand that.
Well, they try to open a different genre because the Japanese one, like there's the anime style. They have the
Yeah.
film noir stuff with Nicolas Cage.
Yes, I didn't know that was Nicolas Cage either.
I didn't know that either. Like the first time,
Yeah.
like I didn't recognize
The
anybody's
sad
voices.
thing is, there's only one of the voices, the only character that I knew who it was,
Yeah.
and that's only because I watched WandaVision recently.
Okay.
Was the lady Doc Ock.
Oh,
She's
who was that?
Agatha. She's Agatha.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
What's her name? Something Han.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember her name right now.
I would have known her name if we didn't start talking about it.
Oh, so she's in two different Marvel characters
Yeah,
then.
she is.
Oh, that's pretty
And it's
cool.
her. As soon as you hear her voice, I already know who this is because I just got done watching WandaVision. So I'm like,
Oh, you know what? I just got done and we watched this and I'm like, I didn't even pick that up. And now when it's
But
like, oh, but my friends called
also
me.
another voice actor. I don't remember who it was. Who played
I know who plays
the
Spider-Man.
Kingpin? Who's Kingpin?
Oh, that's
Who's-
the guy who
he's
plays
somebody we should know.
Sabretooth
Played Sabretooth?
in the Wolverine.
Oh,
Origins.
yes, I know who you are. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, Liev Schreiber.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you
He's
like
awesome.
Kingpin? Like the way he looks super humongous, right? He
I didn't
looked
really like him. I didn't like him that much.
Yeah.
But he is based on a style that I've seen in the comic book.
Yeah, it's just based on the style. He's
I just
super
I
big
don't
guy.
I'm just not really into that style. I've never been a fan of that style of drawing. I mean, I noticed in this deal they used a lot of different comic book styles because when he sprays on the wall,
Yeah, the
he
graffiti.
uses a Jack Kirby style,
Oh.
which I always like because he does cosmic energy in a certain way. I used to draw stuff when I draw energy. I copied his stuff. I mean, a lot of artists,
Really?
a lot of people do, because he had a unique way of this is how energy works. It was you always found it in like the '80s comic book stuff, and I mean it was all the way back to the '60s when he drew comics. I always liked that style. I liked several of the styles, but I didn't like the way they drew Kingpin, and I didn't like the way when time merges and they built the buildings up. And I like it when they're looking at the corner and they go, "I think it's a Banksy."
Yes.
I didn't like that style. I don't. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I guess, and it may have a lot to do with this is the first time I've ever seen anything like that.
Yeah, it was the first time I ever seen anything
Because
like
it actually
this.
took me a while to get used to it. The problem is I eventually got used to it and started to like it. Especially when they went to the company and they saw the Doc Arc.
Yeah.
I finally got used to the way that was.
Oh, so it
working.
took you a while
And I
before
liked
you
scenes
got
of it. I didn't really care for the square bubbles. Did you see in a comic book? Because I'm like, I'm not reading a comic book. I'm watching a cartoon. I don't want to see. I don't want to see the squares.
So
I like them in a comic book. That's
so
where they belong.
you have to get used to the animation in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the problem is, by the time I got to Spider-Ham, I was like, this is like Iron Man 3 all over again.
Oh, let's not do that.
It's like I'm all pumped up. This is good, and it's like
let's not do that. Okay, so let's just go over the movies. They introduced Miles. They introduced the blonde Spider-Man.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
hear about Spider-Man because it starts off with Spider-Man narrating,
right,
which I
right,
thought
right.
was interesting, and
He's
that's and
always
it's
trying
good
to stop
setup.
the collider at that
But
moment.
you already know that it's not the Spider-Man I'm used to. That's why.
No, it's not. It's not the
But
Spider-Man
we
I'm used
can't.
to.
Well, he's not starting the collider yet. That's when we get to see Miles' life.
Yeah,
So he's a kid. He's at the school. He's
he go to
cool
the
with
school.
everybody. He's with everybody. I mean, he goes to a public school.
Yes,
He's cool with everybody, because you saw how
he's
he
a
acts.
nice kid from the neighborhood. Yeah,
Yeah, everybody knows him. He got
yep,
along with everybody. He's just like this is his world, man. He
yep,
talked to everybody, and I like that. But then he gets in that the cop picks him up. And you're
yeah.
like,
His
oh.
dad.
And it turns out his dad. It was cool because his dad loves him, man.
Yes.
His dad's a good. His dad's a
I like
good
that
guy.
little
Good guy.
like a conversation he's trying to have with him about the coffee shop opening and stuff like that. And Miles like, yeah, yeah, Dad, it's called this. Sure.
Yeah, I like that.
And
It's
then he
cool.
see
I
like
mean,
two
it
kids
was
that he
cool.
knew,
Really.
and he's trying to hide in the backseat of a police
Yeah, I like
car.
that. Hey, Dad. I like it when he tells his dad. He goes, Dad, cops usually run red lights. He
Yeah,
goes,
like, yeah,
not
a
this
lot of
cop.
cops do, but not this guy.
But you do notice something's wrong with the New York, because it's written, what is it, Police Department of New York City
Yeah,
on the
I did.
car.
Yep.
Instead of instead of New York
It's
Police
like
Department.
PDNY these days. I did notice
Yeah,
that.
it throws you off for a little bit because I'm trying to figure out what is wrong here.
Well, when I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe they don't have rights for that or something. You know, it was just something I didn't think about the multi-universe thing.
Yeah, which is weird. Why would the multi-universe? Because this, we'll have to explain what my thoughts are on the multi-universe when we
Okay.
get to end game.
Okay.
Because to me, unless you time travel into it, you don't start in an alternate reality.
No, this is not an alternate reality, right? Is it an alternate reality? No, you
It
could
is
tell
an
it's an
alternate
alternate
reality.
reality. Yeah.
It is an alternate reality. It's like to me, but it's the thing is it alternate reality? I don't know what you'd call it because why do you have these other realities unless somebody went through there and started them?
They just call it a dimension. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's dimensions.
But then no, and yeah, but that's what they call it in the movie, like the dimension. That's why I got excited, like, oh, this is like a
Did they
multiverse.
call it a dimension? Because that's
Yeah.
not what a dimension
Well,
is.
that's what like Doc Ock was calling it, like the dimension, or that's what the other Spider-Mans were calling it
Oh,
too.
were they? Okay. I
Yeah.
don't remember. I just know it's alternate reality type things.
Yep.
But anyhow, what was it? Where were we talking? Oh yeah, they went to this. He goes to the new school. His
He
dad
goes to
takes
a
him
new
to the
school.
new school, which is kind of weird in a
Well, they
way.
also show you that Miles is smart because he blames it that he got picked for the lottery, but then his dad told him like, well, you passed the entry exam to get to this prestigious school,
Yeah.
the elite school.
Yeah. But he's like, yeah. He's pointing it out like, oh, they just picked me because of maybe my color or something.
Yeah,
you
my
know?
color, like this, I want to be in the school of my people, and then his dad
But
like, these are
but
your
like
people.
his dad said, no, you had to do something to get here, and
Yeah.
you did it.
You passed
You
the
know?
exam, and these are your people, because he's trying to tell him that his son is smart. He belongs to this school because he's smart.
But that's the funny thing. That's what the scene where I'm sitting there. I'm like, his name badge says Davis, but his son's name is Morales. Maybe
Yeah,
that's his
you know
middle
what? I
name.
never
don't
thought
know.
about that. I have to look at that up.
Maybe it's Miles Morales Davis, and he just doesn't want to use the Davis.
Oh, I just go by Miles Morales.
I guess I don't know. I'm just curious why.
I thought it stick with that double initial, like Peter Parker.
Well, it throws you off because and the only reason that it bothers me is because like his uncle's last name's Davis, and I'm like, we're supposed to know you're related, but it's kind of hard to know that you're related because
Yeah,
your
with
last
different
name's
last
not the
names.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's throwing me. I'm like, so are you related to the Prowler or not? Because I'm a little confused.
I'm gonna look at that right now. But go ahead and tell me the movie.
But then we know he goes to school, and what's he? Is that when he meets the Gwen Spider?
You know what? We've been saying this whole time. Why is it not Miles Davis? Because Miles Davis is a musician, right?
Are we saying Miles? I said, oh, is it
Miles Davis.
Miles Davis? Maybe it is a musician. Well, I heard some people go. They like to say the Miles.
I'm reading it right now. Miles carries his mother's last name, which is her name is Rio Morales. If Miles' guesses is correct, it would mean that his parents gave him the last name of Morales to stay away from the criminal past of the Davis name.
Oh, now that makes sense. Okay, that's all I want to know.
Yeah, they didn't actually touch on that too much because they did talk about
they
it, but
did
not too
they
much.
did kind of touch on it in a way,
but not too much. Like
because we see that the dad and his brother
Yep.
aren't together.
Yeah.
And of course, he also finds out his dad, he thinks his dad's all stuffy and stuff. We found out his dad used to tag stuff.
Yes. They do it to the subway to throw off the new graffiti that Miles was signing.
Yeah, so we find out but it doesn't really go into it that much.
No.
Which I want to point out, the neat thing is the brother, the Prowler guy.
Aaron.
He's what was he? Cottonmouth. He played Cottonmouth.
Oh, the guy who
Yeah,
voiced him.
yeah. The guy voice he plays. He gets to play Cottonmouth.
Oh, oh my God, that's right. Like that, I
Isn't
can
that
see that
cool?
voice. Yes.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, he plays Cottonmouth.
And
So,
who is it? Danny Glover is plays
no,
Aaron
Danny Glover does. He does. He plays Aaron.
in
He plays the same
Homecoming.
guy in Homecoming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
So
the one
Danny
who's
Glover,
got the stuck hands.
which
Like,
is
hey
neat
man.
because they also have a scene. You know, when he goes over to his uncle's apartment
Yeah.
and there's the TV's going, Community's on with Danny Glover getting out because there's a show where he gets up, wakes up in the morning, he's got his Spider-Man pajamas on.
Oh my gosh, all these connections, man. I didn't even
Oh,
catch.
it's so cool. Well,
I just gotta go back to see these.
You gotta watch
But
Community, dude.
oh, I started watching Community, but let's
Oh,
get
okay.
back to Spider-Man.
Okay. So he's at the school, and I can't remember what happens next.
Well, they
well,
go
actually,
to they play
he's
that
trying
little
to tell
clip
jokes
about
because it shows that he's trying to connect with all these smart
yeah.
people. It's not working. He tells all
Like
these
he was
jokes.
late to class. He's like, well, Einstein said time is relative, right?
Yeah,
It's so
and then
late.
finally he gets somebody to laugh.
And even way before when he went to class, they were playing the video from Dr. Octavius.
Were they? Oh yes,
Yeah, they
they were.
because
Well,
Miles
the
remembers that.
new Doc Ock.
Yeah, the
I
new
guess
Doc.
you could say.
Because Miles remembers that.
Yeah, because he saw the lady. Yeah, that was an important deal because that's Agatha in an alternate reality.
Yeah. So like that was before he was bitten by the spider. He just go to that first day of the
Yeah, well,
school.
that's the thing. He goes to the first class. Plus, that's when we met Gwen.
Oh, Gwanda.
Wanda is what
Gwanda.
she said, but her name is
Did
Gwen.
you catch that the first time when she paused? Like it was like really awkward. Like what?
Yeah, what?
Oh no, that was
the
the second day. Sorry, we jumped ahead.
Well, no, but no, he meets her in the classroom because remember he does the time reality thing.
Yeah,
She
she was
laughs.
just laughing. Yeah, but
And he goes, "I've never seen you around here before." And
yes.
she's like, "Yeah, I was laughing not because it was funny."
Yeah, I was too silent. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Plus, then that's where we eventually shows the teacher because remember he takes that test.
Yes, he
And I
got
like
all the
that.
wrong
Like that.
answers on purpose.
And she's like, the lady goes, even if somebody with a blindfold took this test, they wouldn't get a 0.
Yeah.
So she's
Because
like,
you knew that he knew all the answers, so he put the wrong ones on purpose.
So she
You
got
still
100.
give him 100 because she already know this guy know the answers.
Let me tell you this. I've been to school. When I was in school, I got a 0. I never got a 0. No teacher went, hey,
And you know what?
all
You
the right
didn't go
answers.
to an elite school like that, okay? You went to public school.
Well, it just tells me that elite schools are stupid. I mean, come on. I've got a 0, and my teacher didn't go, hey, you know all the right answers. So I'm gonna give you 100 now. No,
Hey,
my
you know
teacher's
what?
like,
That teacher wasn't all
you
there.
know, my
either,
teachers,
okay?
you know, my teachers tell me when I got a 0, I'm gonna talk to your parents. It's like, what? My parents aren't gonna tell you I'm smart.
Yeah, so he gets back. He trying to fail. He trying to get out of the school.
Yeah,
So I guess he get the stress, and that's why he went to his uncle's place, right?
Yeah.
Like at that night, the first
He
day.
went to his uncle. He went to go see his uncle because his uncle to him is cool. That's where he gets to do whatever he wants because his uncle's the cool uncle.
He's the bad. Oh, he's the bad
Just like
guy,
me,
that's right.
I'm the cool. I'm the cool uncle. So, but I don't sneak out at night and wear purple pajamas and attack the neighborhood.
Yeah, with these power gloves,
that anybody knows.
Yep.
I don't.
So that's when they have the conversation about, they went to the subway, they do the graffiti up, and that's when his uncle's trying to tell him that him and his dad do this back in the day.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you got to also remember his uncle, because this should have set is a clue to who his uncle was. Because his uncle goes, I found this place for a job that we're doing here.
Yeah, like it's like some kind of engineering job. Because he asked him, like, where would you find this place?
Yeah, he goes, I was doing the engineering job. So of course he takes that picture and he does all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where he's like going out. And then that when he hears all the noise, and then they see that little hole and he sees Spider-Man in there fighting all those guys.
Oh, that was the next day when he's trying to find out what's going on.
Oh, was it the next day?
Yeah, because he got bit by the spider, which was like.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He got bit by the spider, and it looked like it was a big deal because you see the spider bite him and everything go to his body, and you're like, oh, that's gotta hurt. Instead, if you smash the spider, he falls on the ground dead.
Because it's a different alternate universe. It's a different kind of spider. Because he got different powers from it. But
we also got to remember we see the company. There's a company name on that spider.
What is it?
Was it Alchemex?
Oh yeah, Alchemex, yeah.
Which, by the way, if you don't know, Alchemex is the company that's in Spider-Man 2099.
I did not know because I don't.
Yeah, guess what? It's the Spider-Man. It's in the because he's awesome. That's why I bought the comic book. I got #1 issue of Spider-Man 2099.
I remember when that came out was 1992 or
Yeah, because
three.
remember they had Punisher 2099,
Yeah,
they
they
had
did.
X Men 29, which I don't own any of the. It's funny, I was an X Men fan, but I don't own any of the X Men
But just a
2099.
Spider-Man, right? Yeah.
But I do have the Spider Man 2099 #1, and I think I have Punisher, and there's Doom. By the way, Doom became a nice guy, and he had his own comic book, Doom 2099.
Wow, really? I do remember those coming out the
Well,
2099
I love
series.
Doctor Doom. I'm a
Oh, I know
Doctor
you do.
Doom.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't understand why we don't have him as a villain yet, but I guess they better do a good job
Not
because I
yet.
mean,
Okay.
he's gonna have to. He better be better than Thanos.
So okay, so let's get back to
Maybe
Spider-Man.
Josh Brolin should be Judge Doctor
We
Dread,
don't know.
Doctor. I mean Doctor Doom.
So okay, so he got bit by the spider. He acted like it's no big deal because he flicks it off.
Yeah, I know. It just looks off like a little booger.
So basically, he went back home to sleep, and the next day he grew because
Yeah,
he made a comment like, "Oh, my clothes got
yeah.
small."
Okay, yeah. That's because that's when he's getting all the changes.
Yeah, he got all the changes. It kind of like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. He
Yeah,
wakes up and he went through these changes. Yep.
yeah.
So
I
it's still
remember
very Spider-Man,
he didn't need his
ish.
glasses anymore and all that
Yeah.
crap.
He just
Huh.
all like he
I need
grew
to get bit by a
bigger
spider.
overnight, and it's like suddenly like, why is my thoughts so loud? Is this puberty?
Oh yeah, I
Why am I
remember
sweating so
he
much?
kept saying this is puberty. I like it when he goes sees when he sees Gwen. He's like he got his hair stuck in her, and he tells her it's puberty. I don't know
Oh,
why I'm
well,
telling you
before he
this.
got his hands stuck, he's trying to do that cool, slick move his uncle taught him,
Oh
like
yeah, he's not gonna tell her.
the
Put your
shoulder
shoulder
clutch.
in his shoulder.
Yeah, I know what it is, but tell me anyways. So he tried to her. He didn't even know her name yet because Uncle Aaron asked him like, "What's her name?" Like, well, I'm just belaying the groundworks right now.
Yeah, yeah. His uncle smiles at her because he
Yeah,
knows he
and then
doesn't
like
know anything.
that's when he started talking to her. The next day, he going through all these stuff,
Yeah,
and he put his hand on her shoulder. That's when he transferred it from her, to her hair. Yeah,
yeah. What does he go? What's up?
yeah.
What do you tell? What does he say when he sticks it?
He's like,
Sup.
so.
Sup. It is. Yeah, just look
So
at him.
that
You
was the
know.
first time Gwen trying to introduce herself. Did you caught that when he's trying to say Gwen, but he said Gwanda?
Now what?
When the first time when she trying to say
She
not to
said
say
Gwenda though.
yeah,
I
she
mean, I
said
know who she
Gwanda,
was
yeah.
already.
Oh,
I
you
already.
did? Okay.
Yeah, I already knew who the character was. I mean, come on. I have Legos this got Spider Gwen. I'm not really. I actually not. I'm kind of not a fan of it.
No.
Gwen Stacy, because she dies.
Well, that's the different alternate universe, okay?
Her alternate reality doesn't even make any sense in there in the current.
Man, you haven't read it. I mean, I haven't read it, so I don't know.
Okay, maybe not. But why is she younger? Because I mean, she should have been the same age. Because she was the same age as Peter Parker when he was a kid. But in this reality, it's like her time shifted in a different way.
Hey, if you're trying to make sense of it, then you could try and make sense of the anime Spider-Man and this Spider-Pig one. And
No, I'm
film
not.
noir
Okay,
Spider-Man,
we're
okay?
done. Yeah, I'm not making sense of Spider Pig. You
See?
can't. Okay,
So it's just
a pig bit
whatever
a spider, and you got Spider Pig.
whatever we want, okay? The science fiction thing is whatever we want, okay? So, they go
No,
to
it's
the
not. Because that's not anything I want.
so they go to
Okay,
the
but yeah, he got his hand stuck in her hair,
yep.
and of course she has to get it all lobbed off the side of her head.
Right. And then like then it goes into like he goes back to the security guard and he's like, "I know you left the compound last night, Morales." And he's like, "Well, I play dumb." Well, who's Morales? Well, not that dumb.
Yeah, I can't remember what happened. He goes in his office.
He goes to his office because he was running away from him, and then it just happens to be in his office, and then they play that Spider-Man Christmas album. Which we forgot to mention, like Chris Pine talked about that the blonde Spider-Man. I did all this. I had a Christmas album.
Yeah, and then they're playing it, and of course the security guard's like looking around.
You're like,
Oh,
hey, you got a good voice.
yeah, good voice.
Then
Of
he
course,
snuck out his window.
yeah, and that's where Gwen sees him
Yeah, you're like, what the
walking
heck?
down
Yeah.
the side of the wall.
Yeah, walks out the wall, and then he disturbed a class. That part was pretty slapstick funny. And then he made it back to his room, and that's where the comic book comes in.
Yeah,
Amazing Fantasy,
yeah, the original
the original. Yep.
first issue of Spider-Man, which is actually it's named a little different though. all the ones were named different. I
No,
think
it's
they're
not.
what do they
It's
call
not
it?
the first issue of Spider-Man. It's one of those books they put out with different stories.
Oh, a graphic novel.
Yeah,
Not a
yes,
graphic
a graphic
novel.
novel.
Yeah, graphic novel or a pulp novel.
Yep.
Okay,
And and that's
but
when
it,
he
uh,
stopped
it had the
reading the
same
same
cover
thing.
though.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
it had
same
the same
cover.
cover.
It's
It was a comic book.
he's reading it. He's like he's going through all the stuff in the
Yeah, it
comic,
was
but
a
why is it
comic book.
sticking?
So basically, he was reading a comic book.
He's
He was
reading a
reading the
comic
first
book. Like, why
comic
is it
book.
sticking? Why is it sticking?
Yeah, it was. He was seeing the same thing in the first issue of the Spider-Man comic book,
Yep.
which was pretty much the same as the first Spider-Man movie we ever saw.
Yes, it is.
Tobey Maguire. Plus, he has a roommate.
Yeah, he has a college, not college, high school, right? He's a different
I
high
guess
school.
it's.
He had to
I don't
stay. He
know.
had to stay on
Specialty school.
campus.
It's a
Yeah, it's a
specialty
specialty
school.
school. They had to
Yeah.
stay on campus.
So yeah, it's a specialty school because he's
So
not a college kid.
yeah, so Miles again he left the he left the campus at night just to see like what the heck's going on. And you're right, and I didn't even catch that the first time when his uncle took him there about the engineering job. It's because they were building the collider there.
Yeah, they're building the collider,
Yep.
which is under the Kingpin building.
Yeah, Kingpin building. Yep.
Yeah,
And then they
it's
have a
it's,
fight with the
it's
Green
the
Goblin.
building.
With the Green Goblin is super humongous also.
Yeah, in this universe, I didn't like the Green Goblin. I was like, what?
You know?
But yeah, the Green Goblin's like going through changes, and he's humongous and freaky
Yes.
looking.
Oh, maybe
We
he
see
came from
Spider-Man.
another universe then. I don't know.
Who knows? Well, it's the alternate reality. I mean,
Yeah,
come on,
alternate reality.
they're real because we already talked about it, so we might as well just be happy with what we're seeing.
Yeah. And this
So,
time, like
okay.
the Spider-Man was fighting multiple enemies too at that moment. He was
Yeah,
fighting
well,
the
he's always fighting.
Prowler.
Yeah, the Prowler. I mean, he's always fighting multiple. I mean, in most comic books, he's always fighting more than one guy.
Yeah, more than one guy.
I mean, he's pretty much the Avengers by himself. I mean, come on. He fights the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
And if he's not fighting the Sinister Six, he's fighting like the greatest foes of Spider-Man, which is another six different characters he's
Yeah.
fighting.
Venom is
so, yeah.
there.
So yeah, he's fighting, but Venom, Tombstone. Well, not Venom's not there. Who was there? It's Green Goblin, Kingpin, Tombstone.
Rhino.
There's Rhino wasn't there, was it?
No, he wasn't there. Not in this one.
Okay, you're just naming all characters from the comic book.
Oh, I was just naming. Oh no, he wasn't
Okay.
in Sinister Six.
Me and you are not in the same reality.
Yeah, no. Right now, it's like exactly we're into the nerdyverse.
Yeah, we're I'm still in the cartoon, and you've already went to the
Oh,
comic.
I never watched the cartoon like from the '90s. This
No, I'm talking about this cartoon. This was
this
a cartoon that we watched.
Oh yeah, I'm all.
I never
all over the
watched
place
any.
here.
I never watched any of the Spider-Man cartoons either.
Okay, yeah, me neither.
And I'm not going to. I'm not interested. I mean, come on. I'm mainly focused on the MCU and then some other stuff.
Okay.
There's so much stuff we can watch nowadays. It's just, I mean,
It's just
come on.
unbelievable. I know.
When somebody said there's going to be 1,000 channels, I'm like, why?
Well, let's get through this because I want to talk to you about some the multi-universe stuff.
Okay.
So we see Chris Pine. He didn't. He's
fighting.
not successful about destroying the collider with that USB thumb drive. And that was the first time I never seen the spider sense work that way. When they can sense that there's the same.
I didn't see that. Yeah, that's a first for me too.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that's the way the spider sense would work.
Yeah, because if they pick up another person like that, of course it's going to pick it up. It
And
makes
well,
sense.
it picked up somebody pretty much with the same powers as him.
Yes.
And who knows, that Spider may had the same powers and some extra. We know he's got more powers than Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
They didn't show it. We don't see it yet, which is actually kind of funny. I like his powers.
Yes, I do too.
But then we see Spider-Man get killed.
Yes, I wasn't expecting that. Were you?
No, well, actually not. No, I wasn't. I wasn't expecting it at all but that's what kind of. I mean, it's sad, but it also was what made him, to me, made Morales, his character. All of a sudden, I liked his character more.
Yes.
Because well, you never see this in the comic book,
No.
We see it. We're seeing it in the MCU now with
Yes.
the death of Iron Man, but we never get to see it in the comic books. Nobody ever dies. I mean, if they do die, they always come back. They'll constantly come back. You never, because I mean, there's been tons of Captains Americas, but
Yeah.
Steve Rogers never dies. He just pops back up. We've seen
Yes.
several people play Iron Man, but Tony Stark looks like he dies, but he always comes back. Everybody does it. But in the way it made it sense to me is because, okay, I know Spider-Man's history when I was growing up with Spider-Man. Like I said, I don't read it a lot, but you had Spider-Man. He gets married. He goes to college. He goes to high school and he goes to college. You've seen all these comic books. He got to a point where are we going to go next with him? because I was getting tired of it. Because I mean, that's why they rebooted Spider-Man, because people were getting tired of it because they grew up with him. He reached a point where he got married, and it stopped. Then him and Mary Jane broke up.
Yeah.
I don't remember in the comic books. That's about when I stopped reading. Was when they broke up. As and I quit. Maybe they got a divorce. I don't know. And it had a lot to do with the kids. But I'm like, where else are you gonna go? He can't be Spider-Man because I mean, nobody. It's funny because nobody else in the MCU aged, but Spider-Man did.
Yeah, it's just
So
Spider-Man
when
growing up.
so
Yeah.
in this movie when he dies and he asks, basically passes it on to Miles. I was like, this should have been the comic book right here. This should have just the original series that they've started with in the '60s. This should have been part of it. They could have just got another Spider-Man and went on and left Peter Parker, and I like
Oh.
that. That's what made the story good for me
Oh,
because I'm
okay.
like, I already seen Peter Parker grow up. And the next step in life usually is you die.
Yeah.
That's the way life is. I mean, why can't it be that way in the comic books?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can only tell so many stories, and then you get tired of the character,
Right.
and then you do something stupid like Marvel does and reboot the whole universe. Well, they did. It lost because I mean, you spent so much time on the money and collecting those comic books and reading the stories, and then like, oh, we're going to start all over again, but we're not going. We're just going to change a few little things, but we're going to tell you the same stories
Well,
all
they
over again.
updated technology too, because I remember when I started reading Ultimate Spider-Man, they have cell phones and stuff because it's more in
Yeah,
tune
well,
with the
they could have
times.
always added that in. They should have just had them kind of go through life at a little slower pace,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Because
they can.
I'm hoping, but I mean, okay, but this is what
Like
sold
The
me on this.
Simpsons.
But basically, this is what sold me on this story. Is okay, Spider-Man's gone, and we got a new Spider-Man.
And then
It
yeah,
makes
it's a
sense.
brand new one.
Yeah, and there's not two Spider-Man. Yeah, it's not two Spider-Mans. And the thing is, I didn't know there's going to be alternate realities in this.
Okay.
I mean, I knew it was from the story, but I didn't know how it was going to go down. But I thought, well, maybe this going to tell me this Peter Parker was an alternate. But no, they both exist in the same universe, and I like this. And I'm thinking that Miles should be in our universe.
Oh, interesting.
I would rather see him in our universe, but we don't know this yet. But like we said, he dies,
He
and we
dies
can
here.
see the impact, which is too bad that they weren't. Because I mean, come on, if Spider-Man was really die, we should have saw Avengers there or somebody
Yeah,
else
but
there.
yeah, because this one is Sony, so that's why I was like, hey, this is Sony's attempt to save the Spider-Man IP.
Yeah, in a way, but that's the problem though. I mean, they could say that and stuff, but if you're a Spider-Man fan, you already know Spider-Man is such a big character in any Marvel universe that he's in. The Avengers always show up. Even the Fantastic Four would have showed up. Somebody would have showed up
Okay, but then
because
yeah, but this
it's
is
a
just
big
about
deal.
Spider-Man. You're right on that point, right? But this is a different universe. So like you
Yeah.
said, Miles is kind of
Well,
like
they
in
could
the
say that,
MCU
but I
universe,
mean,
but
in
yeah,
any universe, there's going to be some superheroes show
the
up with
Miles
him.
one, yeah, I know the Miles one. It's just him. Okay, there's no other
Yeah, it's just
superheroes.
him
Okay,
and everybody. But I liked it. It was good because Peter, because his wife gives a eulogy,
yeah, give the
and
eulogy.
everybody's wearing the mask and everybody's sad, and I mean, all the whole world's like,
Yep. And
it's
Miles
awful.
bought the Spider-Man costume from Stanley.
Yeah, but I forgot. Yeah, because the funny thing is, I forgot where the Stan Lee cameo was.
No, yeah, he said like,
I
hey,
did. I forgot what it was until you just
it
said
was a
this, and I
store
was like,
shop. He
oh
was
yeah,
like, what if it doesn't fit? Trust me, kid, it always fits.
fits. And then he sees it. Oh no, returns ever.
No, that's just so funny. It's like every time they put Stanley in something, they had to make it like a little bit outrageous because Stanley is there.
Yeah, yeah. And this was his last thing he did.
I thought it was Captain Marvel was the last thing that he did.
What's Captain Marvel?
Yeah, Captain Marvel was after.
Oh,
If it
maybe it
was released
was.
after, yeah.
But I guess he passed though before
Oh, he
this
passed
came
before.
out.
Yeah, this came out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I'm thinking.
But
He
the
passed
last
before
cameo
this
he
came.
was in was in Captain Marvel.
Well, they was making so many things at once. So.
I know.
But yeah, he gets a suit, and of course the suit don't fit. Kind of like that suit I see in the background.
Yeah, yeah. It's just so big, right? And then also
Well, you
like,
got to buy. Well, the problem is you're missing the spider fitting unit that you got to buy.
oh,
I mean,
so
I know you don't know about it, but it goes up on a suit and it pulls the suit real straight.
so the Captain America suit I have. So
Yeah.
I actually bought a Spider-Man onesie thing. It comes with the gloves, the boots, like the shoes, right? It's all one suit. Okay, and then the mask comes in different. But that
Yeah.
size was a little bit too small for me, so I let Cody wear it. Okay, you know what
Oh
that
yeah.
did? So you know what happened? So when my youngest son turned 3, right, I had Cody dress up Spider-Man to come to his party.
Oh, that's
I have
awesome.
pictures where Cody, like, because it fits him so cool. Because, Cody's a shorter guy, too. So he's Spider-Man's height at 5'7" or 5'8".
Yeah.
It looks so
And
cool.
did your son say, "Hey, I actually wanted Iron Man instead"?
So, so I was dressed up as Captain America, right? My dad, because, I bought the Iron Man one, too. But it was these clothes from China, you can never tell the right size. My dad was dressed up as Iron Man.
I would like to see that.
I'll show you the pictures later. But let's go back to the Spider-Man thing. So you said Mary Jane was giving the eulogy, right?
Yeah.
And she gave the thing about everyone could be Spider-Man, everyone is a hero. And Miles says something corny like, "Yeah, she's talking about me." And then this dude's like, "Oh, I don't think he's talking about you specifically."
Exactly. He's like, "Had this nut job right here, standing next to me. Thinks she's talking to him."
It's so funny. Oh, and I think.
But we also forgot to point out the scene that he calls his dad, though. Remember?
Yeah, he called his dad, but he didn't say anything because he wanted to tell somebody. Oh yeah, when he was panicking.
Yeah, well, he asked his daddy. Yeah, he asked his daddy. He goes, "Do you really hate Spider-Man?"
Yes.
Remember? His dad didn't really know. Well, I don't remember what his dad said.
Oh, they said that in the police call too. Yeah, he talked about the Spider-Man wearing a mask and my guys.
Yeah, well, his dad talked about it, but then he asked because now the fact that he's Spider-Man.
Yep.
His dad doesn't like Spider-Man.
I know, that was really good too.
And that sad thing is, because after his dad hangs up the phone with him, then he realizes Spider-Man's dead.
Yeah.
And he wasn't, and you can see that maybe he didn't really hate Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it was on the news. Yep.
Yeah, it was on the news because you can see how they both felt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was pretty sad, but like I said, that made this character all of a sudden really important to me.
Yeah, it was really good. Now, like, what's he gonna do with his dad hates Spider-Man, he's becoming Spider-Man. What's gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, this is just all of a sudden turned. I'm like, this is a good story.
It is because Miles, even before the Chris Pine Spider-Man dies, he's like, "Can there be two Spider-Mans?" And that's way before they killed him.
Yeah. Well, the problem with that's the problem with the Spider-Man stuff. I didn't like because it's the same thing I don't like about the Batman now, the Bat family thing. Because they got to where they had Batman and then they had Robin. Okay, cool. All right, Batman, Robin, cool. Then they had like Batwoman, Batgirl, whatever that other character was. And he had like a whole bunch of characters. And always had like 5 characters all together. I'm like,
but you know what? They're in the same universe, okay? All these Bat people.
They are. They're all in the same story, in the same town. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I mean, just go back to Batman or Batman and Robin. I don't need all these other characters because I don't really like them all that much.
I forgot to point out, like, when the first time he met Chris Pine, right? He said he was going to show him the ropes. Then he told him, like, hey, when he was under all that rubble, before he dies, right? He told him, like, hey, first thing, never show your face.
Yeah, he does tell him that.
Yep, never show your face.
Wear a mask.
Yep,
basically tells him everything that he's always known.
Yeah.
Which is weird because, Spider-Man, because remember Spider-Man Civil War, he always wore the mask. He didn't want to tell anybody who he was.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah, that was cool. And so the kid's got the mask now.
Yep, he got the mask. He's been wearing the whole time. It feels like, I don't know how long he's been wearing the same costume.
Yeah, the crappy costume.
The crappy costume.
Doesn't he go, because he needs somebody to talk to, doesn't he go back to his uncle's house?
Yeah, he go back to his uncle's house. No, before you go back to your uncle's house, because they found he made a noise. That's when the Prowlers start going after Miles.
Oh yeah, but okay, he's trying to hunt them.
Yeah, he tried to hunt down that because he didn't know it was a boy or a kid or a man. He just
he didn't know who he was, and of course he doesn't know the Prowler's his uncle. So.
Yep. So they have a chase scene through the subway tunnel and like through the city a little bit.
I can't remember what happens after that.
It happens to it, and he went back to Peter Parker's grave.
Oh yeah, that's right. He goes to Peter Parker, goes out in the cemetery and Peter Parker's grave.
Yeah, and then that's when
he crash land through. And, well, and then he meets he's standing there. The other Peter Parker comes up.
Another Peter Parker.
Puzzled me for a second, because you see his other Peter Parker. I was like, oh great,
he's wearing like a trench coat.
Well, the sad thing, I was like, did he fake his death?
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize the hair color difference.
Yeah, the hair color is different.
Yeah, well, I didn't recognize it. I was
you could tell that he was an older Spider-Man than the Chris Pine one. Because he said, hey, excuse me. And then that's when Miles Electric kills him.
Yeah, he shocks him. What do they call it? The spider bite or venom
Yeah,
bite?
yeah. He shocks him, and then that's when he knocks him out. And then he
Yeah,
was passed out for a while, and then
and
these
of
two
course,
cops shows up.
yeah, like,
Cause
and
like
then of course the spider web shoots.
yeah,
Wet
it
spider web
shoots him because
shoots
when he
out.
shocks him back, right, it shot his sling, and then it stuck him out on the chest, and then it
Yeah,
pulls him,
so
and
he's
that's the
dragging.
whole.
Yeah, he's dragging that body all over the place. And they're like, "Hey kid, drop the corpse."
Jonathan Collar, like it looks like a young Spider-Man holding a homeless body.
Yes, I forgot. Yeah, he's got a homeless body with him.
And then it's so funny because like during all that whole ordeal, like they're flying everywhere. The Peter Parker wakes up for a second right before his face hits the tombstone. Because he wakes up, then his face hits the tombstone.
Yeah, what did he do? He took it back to his apartment.
No, but
He took
before he
it
took it
back to his.
apart, apartment, Miles used his web shooter again. It got hit on the subway on the train. Then they start dragging through the city. He's like, somebody stop that train. Then they just fall in the middle of the street somewhere. Like, hey, can you guys walk around us? And this dude just walks right over them. Like, thanks, New York.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Thank you, New York. Nobody even cares.
And then
They're
yeah,
laying out
that's
in
when Miles bring him back to the apartment and ties him to a punching bag.
the street.
Then he wakes up and he's like, "So who are you?" I'm like, "I'm Peter Parker." Like, well, why do you look like him, but your hair is different and your body's a different shape?
Yeah, he's got that beer belt, that beer belly.
I was like, did you just call me fat? No, I'm pretty sure you just called me fat.
And of course, we get his. Is that when we get his story?
Yeah, we do. He get his story. He invests in some bad investments like the Spider-Man themed
Yeah,
restaurant. Aunt May die in his universe because he's
yeah.
older.
Well, but isn't that yeah? Isn't that the comic book universe then?
See, that's what I want to point out. Is that starting to be the Tobey Maguire one, or is that a comic book one?
I don't know. I don't know if Aunt Parker died. I thought Aunt Parker died in the. I think Aunt Parker did die in the.
Well, yeah, that's when I accepted, like, because, this Peter Parker was at least in his 30s.
Well, it's hard to say because there's been like because there's so many alternate realities in the comic books.
Yeah.
I mean, even Peter Parker has a clone. Did you know he has a clone?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I'm going
By
to
the
buy
way,
some
he's got a
tomorrow.
clone. He's called the Scarlet Spider, or he was originally Scarlet Spider, and then the original Spider-Man was a clone. It's
Oh,
hard to. That's what almost ruined Spider-Man. Okay,
okay.
this was a big deal, and people got ticked off when they realized
Wow.
it. They read all these comic books, and it turned out that the comic books they were reading was never the real Spider-Man.
Oh. That was even before the internet.
Yeah, well, this was during the internet, early years.
Oh, early years, okay.
I could say this before Facebook. How about that?
Oh, okay. Wow, that's a really long time ago then.
Yeah, people got ticked. It was a big deal. And then they try to retell the story. Oh, this didn't really happen. It was a dream. Blah blah blah. You're the
Okay,
rookie.
so it's hard to us to figure out
But
what
we don't
universe
really
this
know. And
was
I guess
from.
it doesn't. I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't
it
really
does
matter.
seem. But it does seem like a Spider-Man that I know.
Okay.
And it could easily be the
It
Peter
could
Parker.
easily be.
Because that they should have used Tobey Maguire to do it.
So, okay, so it's really
And
funny,
here's the
right?
funny thing: if somebody goes, "Oh, it'll be confusing," I'm like, "It still is." So what does it
It
matter?
still is, but we don't know what Spider-Man or what Peter
And I
Parker
guess
it
it
is,
doesn't
right?
really matter which one he is because he's probably not one we even know.
And out of all these Spider-Mans, this one is my favorite. You know why? Because once he got out of the punching bag, right? I like that famous line. Hey, don't watch the mouth, kid. Watch the hands. Because he already got out, but he just left. He didn't even
Well,
bother to fight Miles. Yeah, he
but
just
remember,
left
there
the
was a
place.
scene. Where was the scene? There was a scene here where they try to do that with great responsibility.
Oh, that was like after this
Because
one.
yeah, because remember he goes,
Because he
"Don't
trying to
you
tell
don't you
him
finish?"
to teach him
Yeah,
the ropes.
yeah, he
And
told you, "Don't you finish that?"
yeah, Peter was like, tell him like, don't be Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Remember when Miles was trying like, oh, you get to show me the ropes, and he's trying to tell him, don't be Spider-Man, kid. Just go back and live your original life.
yeah.
Because
And
he
so he
been through
give
so
up.
much, like that's why I love this Spider-Man the most. Like in a way, it feels like he knows he's in a comic book.
Yeah.
There's like
Well,
there's
I
always
just
some
like
kind of doomsday machine in
Yeah,
the
you're
world
right. Well, to
thing.
me, he seems like the most. Seems like the Spider-Man that we know.
Yes, he's the most experienced one. Yeah, he's the
Yeah,
yeah. You
seems
know
like the
what? Now I
Spider-Man.
agree with you. This is the
Well,
comic
he
book
just seems
Spider-Man.
like the last time I read a Spider-Man comic book, that's where I left him.
Yeah, this is where he left off from.
Yeah, that's where I left off years ago. and then it's like I picked it up, like I'm picking up a comic book now.
Because you mentioned about the kids thing, and then he mentions that he split up with Mary Jane because he doesn't know he wanted kids.
Yeah, which he didn't want mutants.
Yeah. So meeting Miles, right, it made him question that. So it's so funny when he say like, hey, you know what? It's always these kind of things, right? And at the last minute, that's when I do my best work.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's true. You
That's,
know.
and then that's when Miles trying to pull that line with great powers comes. That's when he said, "Don't
Yeah.
you finish that sentence." Yeah.
Yeah, I like that what he does because
And then,
you hear it in everything. I'm like,
yeah,
everybody's sick of hearing it now.
yeah. Even though
You,
like that's why he was so fun. Like that's why I relate. I like him so much better. Like of all these alternate universes, Spider-Man, he's my favorite one.
yeah, he was my favorite one.
Peter
I
B.
mean,
Parker.
and he's supposed to be, and he's supposed
Yeah,
to be. I mean,
because
because
he's
he
already
becomes,
old enough. He could teach him, but he doesn't want to.
yeah, and he becomes the teacher, and I mean, he does become his
He
teacher.
does like when he does it like okay. So when he said like, oh, you got a groover. What's a groover? There's always some kind of override key, some kind of password key, some kind of key.
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, you're right. He does point it out like he's in a comic because remember it's just always happens.
It's always happening. Like, I want to point that out later. So like, you got a groover. He's like, did you break this?
No, the other Peter Parker did.
Yeah. And what else did he talk about? Like he talked about the Kingpin collider. So Peter was listening to that, so he know how to find his way home, because
Yeah.
he know how he got here, and he knows who has that machine. It's the Kingpin.
Yeah. Well, they also know the company name. They read the company name on it, so they go find that company.
Yes, they did. But right before the scene in the diner when he's like, in my universe, this place closed down 6 years ago. So
yeah,
I know it's on a different timeline. That's
I like
when.
it also I also like it when he goes, because you got money, right?
Yeah, you didn't got money, right? I'm not very liquid like that. He's like, are you gonna eat that?
Yeah.
He eats so much.
Yeah,
But
because
first
that's
of
all
all,
he does.
I didn't know Spider-Man could get fat.
I guess if you eat that much, you can. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
if you eat that much, anybody can.
Because he was showing like he was eating pizza, like no, how he got in that universe. He was like, he
Yeah.
said, I was working out, and he's like eating a slice of pizza when he said that line.
Yeah, he's probably drinking a lot of beer too.
Yeah. So at the diner, the first thing he teaches him like, oh, you want to put powder in your
Oh
elbows.
yeah, I like that. With no chafing. I'm like,
No
okay.
shaving. You don't want it to shave all over.
And of course, the kid's sitting there like, yeah, I don't really need to hear this.
Is that it? Yep, that's about it. Because no, I feel that because like he tells the most important things that most people don't think of, like the chafing stuff. It's gotta be really bad. Like everything else comes naturally. It just the small details that you miss. You want to tell him that.
I'm gonna tell you the costume type stuff.
Yeah, the costume type stuff. And he's like, hey, let me tell you something, kid. Don't wear your own merch. What kind of superhero wear the own merch?
Iron Man.
Yeah. Oh, Iron Man. And then I think that's when like, oh, that would be great. You could teach me how to swing to the Hudson. And the next thing they were taking a bus. Like, swing to the Hudson. Come on, man. You want to keep your legs fresh. You'll thank me later.
Yeah, when they all riding the bus. That's pretty cool.
So he asked him to look out where their company is, so they took a bus there. And then right outside, he's like, okay, I'll just do the stuff, and then you just keep watch and take notes, okay? Because I'll quiz you later.
Hey, when did we find out he can turn invisible?
Not until
Was it at the company?
they inside.
Okay, yeah.
No,
so it was
Spider-Man was inside, right? And then Miles want to come back.
Okay, yeah, that's when he turns.
And then Miles find out that he's super strong because he punched that rock, and then it cracked open, right? It's like, oh, that's new.
Yeah.
So right now he doesn't even know his powers unless like we know the basic Spider-Man stuff. Like he could stick on walls, he could climb and things like that. But he has super strength. And once he get in there, Spider-Man was like, "What are you doing here? I told you to wait outside." And he's like, I forgot what he said. Like he just want to come
With the Kingpin.
along.
Well, that's because he saw the Kingpin.
So he saw the he saw the Kingpin, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, this is pretty basic standard stuff. Okay, you know what? What you said was just really bad. You know what? Everything you said was really bad. And then this is how he's gonna go. You have 24 hours.
Yeah, I know. He's not real serious about it at all.
And then the Kingpin, you have 24 hours to give me my collider. I like the when the part where the doctor, before you find out she was Olivia Octavius, right? She was typing a password, looked like an 8-9 digit, and he's like, okay, I got the password. And then later, like, hey, you get the password. He's like, DAGFM3494. Like, he said this whole long ass password, like with 35 letters and numbers. When she typed it in, it was like 9 characters. Like, what the heck's going on? That's when they That's when you find out he was invisible when they were in her office.
Yeah, when he turns invisible.
Yeah, right before like, where are you? And then he started poking him in the face. I do like that when in that Peter Parker, he didn't expect that all the Spider-Mans should have the same power.
He didn't expect him to?
No, because he's like, oh, you could turn invisible. That's really cool. You know?
I wonder why. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, he didn't. He wasn't
but
surprised.
I guess because he's a different person, I guess he would have different powers. I mean, they didn't get bit by the same spider in a way.
Yeah.
Because he already knows there's another Peter Parker in his universe that died.
And you know, like the whole scene with Doc Ock, right? That scene is so funny to me. It's so much serious, right? Because this Peter Parker doesn't take anything seriously. Right? Because, I mean, he said, I can handle it. You know, he saw strapped to the chair. He's telling him, like, go, Miles. Even Doc Ock was like, who the heck are you talking to? Because he didn't know there was another person in there, you know, in the whole room.
Well, because you can't see him, yeah. So he's like, just nuts.
And he's trying to log in at the same time, like, hey, what was the last 2 digits? Like, wow, how old are you? You don't look a day over 35. Oh, you know what? I forgot to touch on right before they entered the building. They go through the plan, the comic book strip plan. Remember, like, what would I do if I was me? Then they go through like, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go in there, take the password, and once I log in, right, I'll know what I'm looking for. Get it on the goober, go to the lobby, get a bagel, and then call it a day.
Yeah, but we got to remember what Morales starts running through this. You remember they're running through the building, and that's when they run into Spider-Gwen.
Yes, they went to Gwen again because, you know, like some kind of.
I was trying to figure out why is she there.
Yeah.
And then they do get a bagel, don't they?
They do get a bagel. So what happens is, like, you know, while Spider-Man's talking and fighting Doc Ock at the same time, right? He's like saying all these like cheesy stuff. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
he's like,
well,
come
that's
back here, Peter. He's like, yeah. And then he's like, then he caught up with Miles, right? He's like, hey, let me tell you something. The good news is the monitor. We don't need this.
Yeah, we don't need that monitor.
Because Miles was, that's something I always thought about in the movies. Like, why would they carry the monitor with the computer? We could just get another monitor.
I'd tell you why I would carry the monitor. Because usually the companies have nice monitors, nicer than what I got. So, I mean, if I'm taking one thing, I might as well take them both. Really, like I'm going to steal a computer and then play it on my little tiny monitor? No.
Yep.
So
they had a little fight scene. They run through the hallway, and that's when they went to the cafeteria of the building.
Yeah.
And he's like, And he's like, let me see. He's selecting a bagel, and then they start walking, right? Spider-Man. Hey, you know what? I get that a lot. Then at that moment, right, everybody had weapons in the room. It was a little bit over the top.
It's a dangerous workplace.
It's a very dangerous workplace. Like everybody, I know, like even people.
If you're working for Dr. Ock, you might as well carry a weapon.
Yeah. Well, I thought there was a place where, like, you know, they don't know they're working for Doc Ock, right? Like, you know, her friends call her Liev.
They look like they knew that they were working for Doc Ock.
So they were shooting him, and then they do the little switcheroo thing. Okay, I'll take the computer. You hold the bagel. Then he gave him the web shooter, and that's when they start teaching him how to swing. Like, you know, you learn as you go.
Yeah, well, they're holding the brief, but they're holding the computer in the middle and they're swinging.
Yep, they're swinging, and it's like
Doc Ock catches up with them.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, between all the things like Peter saying, like, you know, listen to me right at the end, like, hey, and also very important note, do not listen to me.
Yeah, and then of course they get captured. Almost.
They get captured and they get captured because Spider-Gwen captures them.
Well, yeah, they're about to get beat anyways.
Yeah, they're about to get beat anyway.
She basically saves him. And it shows them all on the bus together.
How did you like that he was wearing sweatpants this whole time?
It was weird.
Barefoot in the snow.
Well, it's weird because, you know, it doesn't get pointed out until they meet
Aunt May later, yeah.
Yeah, Aunt May. Are those sweatpants?
You know what? That was right after because, you know, they got away, and then like they talk to Gwen, and then Peter Parker's like, "Whoa, you know this girl? Very cool."
Which though, here's the neat thing, because I mean, this guy's good thing he's not paying attention to who she is.
No. Peter Parker was very go with the flow. Like anytime
Well,
like
that's the thing.
something
But that's the
strange
thing,
comes
though.
up, he's
In
like,
a way,
whatever.
it would be kind of weird because if Peter Parker wouldn't know who she is, it'd kind of be freaky.
Yeah.
Because you know who Gwen Stacy is to Peter Parker.
Right, and he doesn't even care that he's in an alternate universe.
Yeah, but
because
I mean,
he touched on that, like when he got you this place, right? It was
but
weird.
wouldn't it be weird to you if the girl that just saved you from alternate reality is your first love? That was the person that got killed that you tried to save?
Not in this movie, because he said when he first got here, right, he saw himself dead and younger and blonde. So I think he already put together that he's in a different universe.
But let's say you had a girlfriend, you came in this other universe, and she's alive. Wouldn't that bother you?
It is weird, yeah.
See, that's the thing. Why doesn't it?
It's on the
why
same.
Doesn't it bother him?
It's on the same shelf as seeing himself being dead, and then his girlfriend alive, or his past girlfriend, but a younger version too.
Well, it's like he doesn't even know who she is. So.
Yeah, like how old was Miles here? Like 14, 15, right?
Yeah.
Or 16.
Okay, yeah.
So Gwen is only a little bit older than Miles, so she's a lot younger than this Peter Parker.
Yeah, well, but Peter Parker was what? Okay, yeah, you're right.
But you know what? Before this Peter Parker came, the blonde Chris Pine Peter Parker, he was already 26, and Gwen is only 16. So this universe is all over the place.
Yeah, apparently that's the thing. It's all over the place. It's all different times.
So this Peter Parker doesn't even care anyway.
Well, you're right. It is all times because remember we get the Japanese.
Yep, and that's one's from the future too.
Yeah, well, she's from New York, but I mean it was that Japanese style.
Yeah.
Robot.
But in the future, New York, yeah.
Yeah, it was from the future New York.
Yep.
So everybody's from. Yeah, you're right. Everybody's from a different time because we also got the Spider Noir.
Yeah, I just like this Spider-Man. Yeah, you're right. From the Nazis area. Yeah.
From
I just like this Peter Parker is so laid back. He just super go with the flow. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Well, that's the thing. Of course, he is Spider-Man. He's seen all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he's seen all kinds of
stuff.
stuff.
He was Secret Wars. He saw Venom. And Captain America.
So I think the next scene is when they go to Aunt May's house.
Yeah, when they go to Aunt May's house, and she's still alive.
She's still alive, and he wasn't even comfortable with it. He's like, I don't think we should be here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, she's kind of crazy.
Yeah, she kind of like, hey, she's not crazy, right? She's like, hey, thank you, for being a fan, and she comes up with a baseball bat. And she drops it when she saw Peter, and then she realized like, oh my god, he's so much older, and are you wearing sweatpants? That's like another fat joke, right? Because it touches him. Like, it still looks so weird, Peter. And then I guess this Chris Pine Spider-Man is more high tech. Because she takes him back to the shed. That shed, like that house, reminds me of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah, but then it's also probably with this Peter Parker ones too.
I would say so.
And then he's trying to be cool, like,
it's just kind of weird to me.
This is like my universe. I had a shed of my spider gear, Oh, you do? Yeah, just imagine it without the helicopter, without the airplane, without the motorcycle.
Well, that's where it starts to get ridiculous for me.
Oh, yes. When they talk about, like, the full-time, right, and then they get back down, that's when Aunt May gave him that name tag stuff, and then you see the other Spider-Mans. Yeah,
there's all these other Spider-Mans, and there's, like, thousands of suits, and there's a stupid Spider-Man cars that's never made sense.
So when you say thousands of suits, right, doesn't look like Iron Man. That remind me of Iron Man's thing.
It looks like Iron Man. It also looks like Batman.
Yeah, that too. Like just a more uniform. More to
choose
from.
It's just like the Batman. It's all black in there.
What was the first one?
Bat toys in there.
Yeah, the bat toys or spider toys.
And then I'm like, yeah, this is kind of silly. And then of course,
you know what they did to sell merchandise? The Film Noir one was the first one, right?
Oh yes.
Spider Noir.
I think it was.
Yeah, because they look up and then Peter Parker's like, where the heck is the wind coming from? We're in the basement.
I thought it showed all of them. I thought it showed them all jump down at the same time. And then it just went one by one and told you who they were.
Yeah. How did you like that? Like the quick explanation, really quick, of the origins.
Okay.
That went by pretty smooth, right?
I mean, I'm just like, it's smooth. I was just like, Yeah, I don't really like these spider people. I sat there, I was like, yeah, I've never heard of the 1930s Spider-Man. I've never seen that. And then they got the anime style Spider-Man. I'm like, never heard of that one.
And you know what?
And then,
That's when they
and
said
then
like,
Spider Ham. Then it showed Spider Ham. I was like, oh god, I would rather watch Howard the Duck because I don't want to see Spider
no,
Ham.
get out.
Yes, I would.
And we gotta talk about that too. I gotta watch it so we can talk
Yeah, we
about
gotta
Howard
watch
the
it
Duck.
now. Yeah, we gotta
Compared
go
to
back.
Spider
We
Ham.
gotta go back to the '80s when this was cool. Because you gotta remember Spider Ham was out. Because I remember the comic book. I remember Spider Ham, and it was just funny. I mean, I guess I don't know why I don't like it. It's just I guess it was too serious.
Well, too serious when you compare to like the Spider-Man you
Well,
read.
Spider Ham was supposed to be more like a cartoon character, but the Spider Ham in a way was like the Howard the Duck the comic.
Yeah, it's
book.
very slapstick, very
Yeah,
Looney
it's
Tunes.
extremely slapstick. But I mean, when it came to slapstick, there was called a comic book called Impossible Man. Now I don't know if
Okay.
that was funny. Impossible Man was he was an alien. He was I don't know what he was. You know, scrolls, the scrolls.
Yeah.
It was like some type of scroll, or he was a alien race that got captured next to the scrolls. He'd come back to Earth, and he would turn into all kinds of cartoon characters. It was like watching Jim Carrey turn into in the mask.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this comic book was crazy. I got it. I don't got the original first one. I got the second one. I think
Yeah.
it came back. They made another run of it. It was funny.
Hmm.
But anyhow, I didn't really like Porky Pig or whatever his name was.
So there's six of them,
Spider
right?
Ham. Yeah,
Yes,
the
there's
Spider
six of
Ham
them.
was just yeah. So we got all these characters now.
So we got all these characters, and then talk about Miles because he's a new kid, and then that's when Peter Parker trying to spice him up to the other people. Like he had this electric power, like, but I can't
Yeah,
do it.
I love
He
it.
cannot do it on command.
You can't
Like,
do
he
it
can
on
turn
command.
invisible. Turn
I know.
invisible.
I
Right?
love that. I love that when he turns invisible because I sat there looking at the screen. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking nobody look at him.
Yes, yes. I thought about the same thing from Mystery Man.
Remember? Yeah, for Mystery Man. Hey,
Yeah.
nobody look at me, and I'll turn invisible.
And I
And
like
love
it. Like
that.
I cannot do
Invisible
it on
Kid.
command. He cannot do it on command.
Can't do it on command.
He's trying to sell him so hard, and then all the peer pressure is getting to Miles, right? Because he's a kid. You
Yeah.
know, like, can you do this? Can you do this? Like, always get back up. Then he just leaves. Then he turned
Yeah.
invisible, right? Like, oh look, he could turn invisible.
Yeah. He just. I don't blame him for leaving.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
doesn't blame him. Yeah.
I mean, come on. We've all been there in our lives.
And then there's like every time Miles is down, right? He's trying to find his uncle.
Yeah. Well, because that's the only person he thinks he can talk to.
Yeah, he's the only person he can talk to, and that's
Which is
been, you know, at
yeah.
that moment, right? I didn't even think that it was his uncle. It was the Prowler.
Oh, you didn't?
I
I
did
knew
it
it was his uncle because I forgot where in there. Well, I already knew this. I already knew that was his uncle because
because
I
somehow
already
he was
know.
in that apartment. Like, how the hell did he know that?
Yeah. Well, the only problem is I already knew that his uncle was a prowler because I knew that from Homecoming.
Hmm.
So I already knew that. So I mean, so I already knew the uncle was going to be the prowler somewhere in here.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a surprise to me because I already knew the story. So
Yep. And that's
Spoiler
when,
alert.
well, obviously Miles didn't know. That was
Spoiler
just
for
a
my life.
surprising thing for Miles to find out.
yeah, for him it was because
Yeah.
I mean they made it. And that's the thing. I think they already knew a lot of people were watching this cartoons are already going to know.
Yeah, they already know that because
So they
it's
just kind of made
Spider-Man.
it. It made it more difficult, you know, because
Yes.
you already know there's going to be this bad, difficult moment.
And then like, they have a little chasing again where Prowler is chasing Miles Morales as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Then he ran back to the house, but he didn't know he was followed.
Yeah.
And then they
followed.
even ask him. They show up to Aunt May's house, and he's trying to tell him like he's trying to tell him, like, my uncle's the Prowler. And then it's when Nicolas Cage like, whoa, that's a hardcore origin story.
Yeah, wasn't he laying on the couch playing with a Rubik's
Rubik's
cube?
Cube, and he's like, is this purple? Like, I don't get it. Is it blue?
Well, you got to remember the joke of that was he can't see colors
Yeah,
because
he can't
everything's
see
black
color.
and
I
white,
know. Yeah, it's black and white. I know. It's so funny.
which is stupid.
That's when, well, at that scene at Aunt May's house, that's when all the bad guys show up. Who's that guy that hold the dual pistol when all Doc Ock came back and tell him that the collider works?
You know, the guy's gray.
Yeah,
That's Tombstone.
Tombstone. That's why I can't remember the name, character's name.
Tombstone.
Because like Tombstone showed up, the Prowler showed up, the Scorpion showed up. I love that he
Yeah.
spoke Spanish.
Yeah, the Scorpion showed up.
Oh, I love it.
Was he ever really? Well, the new one spoke Spanish. I can't
Yeah,
remember
in
the character.
in Homecoming he was Spanish.
Yeah, I can't remember in the original character was even Spanish.
Yeah,
So.
I don't know, but you know what? Because
But he had that stupid suit.
it's probably because he's Puerto Rican. I want to say.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
well. I mean, it's not. They made it different. He's a different character in a
Yep.
way. Because I
Different
mean, the other one
universe.
had that weird suit on.
Yeah, it's a weird suit. I know
Kind of
from the
creepy.
'60s. I know. I know
Yeah. It
exactly.
was
I read
kinda,
those. I told you, man. I read those '60s
well,
comic books.
everybody.
Like
I
it's
mean,
not
you,
so
you
good.
can't help it. And I like the way they redone a lot of the villains,
I do.
especially Vulture. Vulture is one of my favorites that they redid.
Yes, because from the comic books, it looks so lame. And then
Yeah, it
when you
does.
see Michael
Well, you
Caine
got
in
that
that,
old
like, oh my
man
god.
with the bald deal and the stupid looking wings.
Yeah.
Then when you see the new one from Homecoming, it's like that makes so much sense.
Even Mysterio looks so good.
Oh, Mysterio was
See, like,
awesome. But I always thought Mysterio was pretty good. In the old comic books, Mysterio looked okay
no,
actually.
no, yeah, but then the Vulture did not look okay. Okay, it
The
looked like
Vulture
Ben
did not look
Kingsley.
okay.
It looked like Ben Kingsley in
Yeah,
some kind of weird,
yeah,
weird bird costume
with a weird collar
with
around
the
him. I'm
with the
like,
Pinocchio nose.
but yeah, when they made him, when they remade him, for the
Oh, the Vulture
Homecoming,
looks so much better.
it makes sense because they have flying wing things because we've seen the
Yes, the
Falcon.
Folk Falcon. Yep.
Now he's got the deal, and plus he wears that leather jacket with the collar and the
Yes.
helmet. Oh, is so awesome.
Yeah. See. Yeah. Well, let's get back on. Well, the Scorpion was okay. Like everybody, all the. I like when Aunt May asked him like, "Can you guys take this outside?" And this one,
Yeah,
film knows that we don't pick the ballroom, we just dance.
but she makes him take it outside.
And they start fighting, and I think that's when Peter Parker got the goober. I love to call him the goober. I keep thinking about the candy.
The goober
The goober.
got a goober.
Yep.
But I like it. But isn't that where the Prowler goes after Morales?
Yeah, Morales, and he caught him, and that's when you
Yeah.
find out that when
Yeah.
Uncle
Yeah.
Aaron found out he's Miles.
Yeah, and he
he
doesn't
couldn't do
he
it.
doesn't want to. Yeah, he don't want to do nothing now. And then the Kingpin kills him.
Yeah, kills him.
Man, that was messed up, dude.
Oh, did you like that scene? I didn't
I
see that
did.
coming either.
Well, that was tough, dude. I was like, whoa.
Yep.
Man, because something's gonna go down.
Yeah, but I didn't know what happened.
I didn't think the Kingpin would kill him though.
Yep.
Because nobody ever gets killed in the comic books like that.
And you know what? This
Rare.
movie was rated PG, so the way that they did the kill shot was really well
Yeah.
for a PG movie.
Well, you always just kind of see the Kingpin's back.
Yep.
But you know what happened. And then of course the dad comes. He's in the alleyway. He takes his uncle with him, and he's in the alleyway.
And then APB on the new Spider-Man.
Yeah. And then of course that's when his dad shows up.
And he turned invisible.
Yeah. And of course his dad thinks Spider-Man killed his uncle.
Kill his uncle. Or kills
Which
his
is
brother
weird.
in this case.
Which is weird in a way because you remember Spider-Man's uncle gets killed and what turns into Spider-Man.
Yes. That's why I put that connection when I saw that. Like, oh, it makes so much sense. He killed his uncle. His uncle died because of him. In a way, yeah.
So we think that now his dad has a reason not to like Spider-Man.
Yep.
So his dad, in a way, his dad's like the J. Jameson now.
Yes. And then Miles, of course, he had nowhere to go, so he went back to his dorm room.
Yeah, and of course his dad shows up to tell him that his uncle died.
Yep.
But
before his dad, before his dad showed up, all the other Spider-Man comes to his room, and they decided to do this without Miles.
Well, but it turns out that was just a test, though.
Yeah, it was not only a test, right? It's only also like when they trying to tell Miles, they have all gone through the same thing.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man, like that's the thing. Like Spider-Man has to go through something tragic like this, right? And that's why Spider-Man is Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I didn't think about that. Now you point that out. Yeah, that's
because all of them said who it was. Like for the anime one, it's her father. Peter Parker, of course, his Uncle Ben. The film noir one, it was his father too, right? I can't remember.
I don't remember what it was.
But Gwen Stacy was her best friend was Peter Parker, and even Spider-Ham was serious at that moment.
And I don't remember his either because I didn't care.
Best friend or something, right? But it's before even that's. No, it's right after that scene. Like, they talk about who it was, right? Then his roommate comes in. Then they all high in the ceiling.
Yeah, they're all on the ceiling.
And then Spider-Ham said.
Well, here's the funny thing. I was about to wonder, when it shows the roommate, I was like, is that Ned?
Oh my gosh, because he looked Asian, right? Like to you, he looked.
Well, I can't
Asian,
remember
right?
if he was supposed to be Ned or not, but I kept wondering, is this going to be Ned?
I don't know. They never mentioned his name because even though at the end, that he talked to he met his roommate for the first time, and Yeah, after that really serious scene, right, and then Spider-Man had to break that up, like, hey, in this dimension, do people talk? Do cartoons
Yeah, no.
talk?
Because people talk to animals in this dimension.
Then he looked up and he got freaked out.
Yeah, that was actually a good. That was
Yeah,
actually I like that. That was probably a good funny line from that.
it was a good funny line, and then that's when the test came. When they
Yeah,
told him like they doing this without him, then Miles said, "No, I could do this." That's when Peter Parker like, then strike me down and take this away from me.
and he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't. It was so that scene was so good. So that's when they tie him up in a chair. They leave, and his father comes in.
Yeah, and then his father tries to talk to him, but he can't even say nothing.
He can't say nothing, and that scene worked out really well. Like you don't have to say anything. And
Yeah,
then that was the moment. That's the moment they Peter Parker told him that earlier. Like it's a leap of faith. That's why he
yeah,
couldn't teach him to show him the ropes. I think that's what the whole point was.
yeah. He basically just had to be.
He just had to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It had to come naturally.
So one of those, another one of those where you gotta run before you can walk.
Yeah. Then he go back to the shed and like I guess Aunt May already made those for Miles in a way. The
Yeah,
web
she did.
slingers.
She already, because I mean, she already knew what was going on.
Yep.
She's Aunt
And
May.
I like that Miles is wearing Air Jordans the whole time as Spider-Man. The first Air Jordans. I noticed that immediately because I used to have that pair of shoes too.
Oh, I wasn't really into Air Jordan, so I didn't notice anything.
Yeah. So it's those Nikes, you know. It matches his costume really well because he does the black and red. I love the black and red, man. When he did the Spider-Man, the new
Oh, I
Spider-Man
like the
symbol.
suit. Yeah, I
Oh,
like the
I
costume.
love the suit. Too bad I'm
The
not
costume's
small enough to
awesome.
fit it, you know. I
I
love
like
that.
I like the black and red. And I like again that goes to Spider-Man 2099.
Yes, because it's
I
also black
like
and red.
it was so cool. I
Yeah.
love that suit.
How did you like the soundtrack of this movie? Because like I thought the soundtrack was really good.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
I'm not gonna
Sony.
go. Oh yeah, I was so into this. Hey, it was good. I mean, it was a younger type thing.
Yeah, it's a
It
younger
fit the
type thing.
It fit the character.
Oh, it did. Yeah, the
What
time.
I said. I'd say it's more fit for the character or kids watching.
Oh, you know, I forgot. Like, because we talk about songs, right? At the Doc Ock's office, he couldn't get out of the ceiling with the light. He's like, "What are you doing? Get out!" Like, you gotta relax, man. What do you do when you relax? Then he starts singing a song. Like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I remember.
So that was the
Yeah.
moment he became Spider-Man.
Yeah, and then he goes to show up to fight to help his friend.
Yeah, help yourself. Even before this scene, he trying to do that. Remember he climbed that really high building. He's like, he's got to do it. Then he's like, he looked at how high it was. Then he walked back down the stairs. He got back to ground
Oh yeah,
level to look
I
out
remember.
into this lower building.
I mean, he goes to the lowest building, but the thing is, the lowest building would still kill you if you
It's
fall off.
He still fall anyway.
But yeah, well, also you got to remember he doesn't tie his shoes
Yeah, he doesn't tie his shoe because it's a
and
choice.
he chooses not to.
Yeah, he chooses not to.
But after he gets his powers, he ties his shoes.
Yes.
You know,
because he made the choice. I think that's symbolic, right? Like he
I
made
think
the
it
choice.
is. Well, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to doesn't want to be responsible.
He doesn't want to be responsible. Yeah.
But now he's responsible now.
Yep.
He's got these powers. He's got to do this.
Yes.
Plus, it also helps not to trip and fall off a building. But this is where they go to. What is it?
They go to
Tower?
the benefit thing. Yeah. They go to Fisk's Tower.
The Fisk building, which is kind of weird.
It is.
I guess nobody knows that Fisk is a bad guy.
No, he does. Nobody know that he killed Spider-Man, even though he's doing a.
But we also forgot the point. The whole reason that Fisk is doing all this.
Because he's trying to.
No, because remember his family left.
Oh,
They saw him fighting Spider-Man, which actually happens in the comic book.
Yeah.
He fights Spider-Man, and his Vanessa and his son leave, and then they're killed. Remember they got killed in the
in the car. Yeah. He's trying to bring him back.
He's trying to bring them back. So he's kind of do a Spider-Man in a way. He's trying to bring back his family members. You should never let people try to bring back family members. Bad crap always happens.
Yes, of course, man. But you can never learn. It's about what you want.
Now, most people can't build a portal device anyway, so I guess we're okay.
So it's okay. Yeah, we're fine.
Thank goodness. Thank God for that, because there's so many lost people on this planet.
How'd you like
all kinds of problems.
How'd you like the banquet dinner when when all the waiters are just of Spider-Man?
Yeah, and they're like, oh, we're gonna be able to do this easy. And of course, the Peter Parker when he sees Mary Jane.
Oh, I know that part was.
She's
so
like,
funny.
could you bring some bread?
I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you when you needed bread.
Bread.
I'll give you fresh bread. I'll give everyone bread. You know we're not getting the bread, right?
Yeah, like that when they're walking off.
Yes, and then like we only get to the final scene. It's a very short movie because it's anime,
Yeah.
it's animation.
Well, I think it was a decent length. I wouldn't have been able to stand it if it was even longer.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it was a good short movie. It's like an hour and 40 minutes. So
Yeah.
they do the
I
whole
mean,
battle.
well, I don't know. Sometimes people make movies longer than they really should.
Yeah, I know. We're not gonna talk
Because
about those right now.
okay, we're not gonna talk about those. Yeah.
But it wasn't
Or,
this movie.
it wasn't this movie. You're right. This movie was and then most of the Marvel movies have been the right amount of time.
Yes, it's been the right amount of time.
It's just some of these other directors. It's outside of the MCU. They need you're done.
This one. This one is outside MCU.
Well, yeah, but this one was a MCU character.
Yeah, it's MCU.
Or well, let's say I guess I'd say
well, it's still
it was
a Marvel character.
It was a
it's
Marvel universe. It was a Marvel universe character, not
yep.
cinematic. But
not cinematic. Yeah, it's just Marvel universe.
But anyhow, they get down into the basement, which is where everybody keeps all their cool stuff.
Yeah, everybody keeps the cool stuff, and everybody fights somebody at the same time.
You know why we don't have any cool stuff?
Why?
Because we don't have a basement.
I've been.
Iron Man builds a Batman. Come on, Batman keeps his cool stuff. Yeah, in the basement.
In the basement, I know.
Iron Man builds his Iron Man suit. Yeah, in the basement.
Hey, when I moved to this house, I wanted a basement too, and so did my wife. My Heather wanted a basement too, but we got enough space here now. Yeah, oh yeah.
Wayne's World,
basement.
In the basement. See?
I know.
I will.
Blame this Texas soil, okay?
That's all right. I want to build a basement so I can have some cool crap.
You should. A lot of big churches have basements, so I don't see why it's not possible, okay?
Yeah, that's where they keep the Ark of the Covenant. Pieces of it in every church.
Let's get back to the movie so we can finish this. So they have the fight scene, Spider-Ham fights the Scorpion. He making fun of the cartoon and, all that crap. And they say their goodbyes because, those three Spider-Mans, those Miles, Gwen, and Peter Parker fighting Doc Ock at the same time.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. Like, I remember what you mentioned about team-ups, and we were talking about Daredevil, season 2. Like, I do like that team-up, even though there's, like, 3 spider people. And then she just get run over by a car or a bus.
Well, Spider Team, yeah.
Spider Team, yes.
Which, I don't know. Spider Team's lame to me. Honestly, it is. It's like, okay.
It's no Iron Man team, Shane.
I'm happy this is. Because Iron Man would pick, because he's got a bunch of suits. It's not no Iron Man's.
Yep. Well, not to you. I liked it because I'm a big fan of Spider-Man.
Yeah, but even Spider-Ham?
Yes, even Spider-Ham.
Okay.
He's not my favorite, but I still like it.
Okay.
The slapdick Warner Brothers thing,
What do you like? You like the black and white Spider-Man or Spider-Ham better?
Oh, I like the black and white.
Okay.
Definitely black and white. Cool. I like film noir stuff.
Okay, that's cool. Let's get the fight going.
So they all fight, and then it's time to jump back to where they came from. So they had to say goodbye to Miles, right?
And they all jump back to where they're going.
Well,
of course, we forgot the anime Spider Girl. Her suit got destroyed.
Yeah, her suit got destroyed, but it was time for her to go, which is fine. She thanked Miles for doing this.
She was good with computers. She would build another one.
Yeah, she was good with computers. She said goodbye. And then when Spider-Ham said goodbye, he gave him that that mallet that went like...
Well, he gives him that cartoon deal, but didn't he go, that's all,
folks? That's all, folks. And Peter Parker's like, is he allowed to say that?
Say that? Well, yeah, it's Sony, and they say whatever. They do whatever they want.
That's all, folks. It's just a regular line, And then he goes, and then I think Gwen goes before because Gwen's story is like she doesn't make friends.
Yeah, but then they are friends.
Yeah, they're all friends, yep.
And then they're like, okay, we're friends.
Can I like your hairstyle cut now? Yeah, that was really good too. It's the last one in Peter Parker. He still decided to stay. That was really good.
Well, yeah, he wants to stay and be part of this guy's life now because he's like, I like this guy. I have a purpose here.
He have a purpose because he wanted to teach him to be Spider-Man, and he told me he has to go home, and he's like, how do I know it's gonna work out with Mary Jane? Like, you don't.
He needs to go back and fix his life. Yeah, he needs to go back and fix his life and make. I
like that. Like the line transfer back to him. Like you don't.
In a way, that Peter Parker has now grown as Spider-Man.
Yes.
So now I can go back to where I left off and read the comic books again because now we moved on. I'm not going to, but if I wanted to, they got a storyline now.
They got a story, like they rebuild that storyline. Yeah.
But then again, Marvel would have to thank Sony and then be even more into their debt, and that would just be horrible.
Sony needs to give it up. If anybody from Sony listening, you need to give up the rights back to Disney, okay? You're not doing a great job. I'm not the only person who thinks this.
Well, there's a lot of people, but I don't know. You sure are giving the praises to their movie.
This movie was good, but you have a lot of bad ones. Spider-Man
Yeah,
3
you
was
do.
bad. The Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew
Yeah.
Garfield was a bad choice to pick Spider-Man. Spider-Man should not be that good looking, okay? It's really bad. I'm looking at the camera
Wow.
right now.
Wow,
okay?
that's just weird. But hey, okay, let's go. And so now we're left with the last Spider-Man.
Well, Peter Parker goes home, and Miles is left to fight Kingpin by himself.
Yes.
You know, at that moment there, like, that fight wasn't very long either. I thought he lost when, like, Kingpin pounded him.
Oh
like
yeah, well yeah. When his dad shows up, though, his dad shows up. Remember?
Yeah, his dad shows up. Yep.
And his dad's rooting him on. And his dad's rooting him on.
Yeah.
That's a turning moment right there.
There was, because he didn't know that was his son. He was really just rooting Spider-Man on.
Yeah, he's just rooting Spider-Man because look at this. I mean, he was griping about Spider-Man putting on costumes and fighting this crime, but I'm like, come on, did you not see what's in the room? He's looking in the room. He's like, NYPD can't do this.
No.
I mean, you don't use a machine gun. A machine guns, handcuffs. They're not going to stop like some kind of interdimensional machine.
Not only that, before you even get to the machine, which one of you guys going to fight the Kingpin?
Exactly. Who is going to fight this gigantic Kingpin guy?
If you only knew that Kingpin,
he's bigger than the Rhino. He's bigger than the Rhino.
It's just, I'm not down with that weird shape how they drew the Kingpin.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it because they do it like that in the comic books sometimes, but I'm not cool with that style.
Yeah, I'm not cool with that style.
There's some artists. There's just some artists I don't like. My favorite Spider-Man artist is McFarlane. Okay.
Oh, I do too.
And everybody likes. I think everybody loves it. I mean, there's been other artists
in the early '90s.
That good, but I mean, everybody knows McFarlane. I mean,
yep.
Then Spawn came along and he went somewhere else.
Because McFarlane also did Venom. I loved it, and that's when Carnage came out.
Yes, Carnage, man. And Carnage was a murderer.
Right. All right. So he obviously did pick Kingpin with the shoulder touch, which his uncle taught him.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Remember, we also start to see Kingpin's family turn to him.
He did. Yep.
They're still mad at what he's doing.
Yep.
So he would have won if he brought him through.
Oh, at the subway scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember, they appear, so he beats Kingpin finally.
He picked Kingpin, and that was the first time, like, where Miles says some cheesy Spider-Man stuff like, "Hey, Kingpin, would you mind pushing the green button for me?"
Yeah.
That's what I like about Spider-Man, because he say these nerdy-ass stuff.
Well, yeah, he's a smart mouth.
He's a very smart mouth. Like, it's
funny.
And when he said that, like, that's Spider-Man.
Most Marvel heroes got quips. They all got their stuff. I mean, even Wolverine, he's got his
Iron Man too.
Stuff. Yeah, Iron Man. Well, of course, Iron Man does. Yeah. But that's Robert Downey Jr. right there.
Captain America doesn't, because he's that kind of guy. Yeah, he's not that kind of guy.
Well, he's too busy beating you with his shield.
And he does the right stuff. He's not gonna, because in a way, he's like degrading you, or like like.
Yeah, well, he's not degrading you.
No.
Yeah, he's not saying, "Come on," because I mean,
and that's why Spider-Man cannot pick up the hammer.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of superheroes. It should not be able to pick up the hammer.
Mjolnir, because like Spider-Man is more concerned about his family than he put family first, not other people first.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's different.
Yep.
I mean, you can't expect everybody to be selfless.
No.
The universe just wouldn't work if everybody's selfless. We'd all be dead.
So Miles defeat Kingpin, shut down the collider. And he calls his dad right before he acts as Spider-Man with that,
Yeah.
Hey, with that
Brooklyn,
Brooklyn accent.
I like it. Well, that's cool. I like it when he goes up to his dad, and he does his Spider-Man, but then he hugs his dad.
Yeah,
he hugs him. He got Spider-Man hugging this.
I look forward to working with you.
Yeah, I love that.
Where he hugs him and he said, "I love you." What?
Yeah. What? This is weird. He's like, yeah, this is a weird Spider-Man.
It is weird when he go back to the crowd after he say bye to Officer Davis. He does hey, what's going on? And then he talks to that kid. Then he stuck to the wall, right? Then he fell down. Like that was part of the move. That was very nerdy. That's part of the move. And then he started his original story. Then he said like the last 2 days I've been the only Spider-Man. Then I start putting stickers where my dad won't find him because he's like standing on top of the gargoyle. No, I liked it.
It was good.
I did. So
I
we
only
get to
watched
the
it
post.
once.
Yeah.
So,
oh wow, it's in a lot. So how did you
yeah,
like the
that's
post
what you got
credit
kids.
scene?
I didn't like the post-credit scene. It was a letdown. 'Cause
Okay,
we're
why
gonna
is
go
it a
back to-
letdown?
We're going to go back to where I said it. When
Okay.
we saw the characters popped up, I was like, where is Spider-Man 2099? And then finally at the end it pops up, it's Spider-Man 29. I'm like, yes! And then he goes and finds that lame Spider-Man.
From
and
the
it's
60s?
just, yeah, and it just turns stupid again. I'm
It
like,
did, right? Like, it's just about the argument about like, hey, you pointed at me, you pointed at me first.
yeah, I know,
Just
exactly.
kept
And I was like, this is what I
having that
got?
argument.
I finally get Spider-Man 2099, and this is what I get?
Yeah. So
This lame crap?
So with this
Wasn't even
multiverse,
funny.
okay?
Wasn't even funny.
So with this multiverse, hey, you know who played 2099?
Who?
Oscar Isaac.
Wow. I knew who was in. I knew his name. I saw his name on there, but I didn't know who he played.
They play interesting person, but they didn't say Spider-Man 2099.
Oh, okay.
Or they didn't say Miguel because his name is Miguel.
Oh, okay.
It's Nouveau York.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So
So he's
yeah. So
the guy. So Poe Dameron is.
so when I saw this, okay. So when I saw this universe, and you haven't seen Venom, right?
I have not seen Venom.
So Venom have this post-credit scene. Is not the Carnage one. There's a post-credit scene in Venom where Carnage shows up. Okay. Well, it didn't show up. It's Butch's Cassidy, right? Buddha's Cassidy. But there's an end scene in Venom, right? It kind of ties into the Spider-Verse.
How's that?
I don't want to tell you.
So I gotta watch Venom.
Venom is not that bad. So it feels
Okay.
like however
Okay.
whatever Sony's planning, right? Or maybe I'm hinting that they're planning, they might tie in Tom Hardy's Venom. Is it into this one or Tom Holland? I don't know where this is going yet because
Okay.
we haven't watched Spider-Man 3.
Okay. Well then I gotta go watch. I gotta go watch Venom then sometime.
Venom is okay. Like if you just think the whole time it doesn't come from Spider-Man. Like if you have to think,
It should
throw
come
out
from Spider-Man.
everything from don't do it. Do not do it that way.
Okay,
Do
I
that
won't.
low
But
expect. So what I did is
I'll
when I
have low
watched this.
expectations. I already have low expectations. It's not gonna be hard.
Good. That's what I did when I watched Venom. I'm like, okay, let's get this over with, right? I'm like, throw Spider-Man out the window, have low expectation. Don't be in that state about when Spider-Man 3, okay? Do not be in that Spider-Man 3 state. Oh my God, Venom is here. Do not do that.
I was never in that Spider-Man 3 phase, so I was okay.
Yeah, so
Even though it wasn't a good movie.
just watch Venom. It's okay. You know, Stan Lee's in that one too.
Cool. Well then I will have to see it sometime.
Okay, so let me end this one right here. Thank you for watching this segment of our reviews. I hope you had a great time listening to us. Be sure to subscribe and give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next one. Laters.